Nĩ twacokereria nĩ ngatho mwĩroreri nĩ ũndũ wa gũthiĩ na mbere na gũikarania na ithuĩ no wa kamũira tũcokereirie gũkũ studio tukwamba tuthie ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe o nginyagia kũrĩa nyũmba-inĩ ya mĩcemanio ya KICC kũrĩa kũrĩ na ũrugũria wa ndereti ya kĩbũrũri ĩgiĩ mwerekera wa bũrũri na kwa ihinda rĩrĩ mũnini wa president Professor Kithure Kindiki nĩ ũrarekereria ndũmĩrĩri yake twambe tũmũthikĩrĩrie.
Including moderating inflation from 9.6% where we found it to now a stable under 6%, and we are still working on the issue of inflation. Of course, on that front also, we have been able to attract last year the highest amount of foreign direct investment in the history of our country, $3.2 billion US. This is a report of the United Nations agency, UNCTAD, last year. And all these things put together are showing a stable economy. The central bank lending rate to commercial banks has come down from 13.5% to 8.75% at the moment. The price of government paper, government bonds and treasury bills has come down, and now that means private sector can access credit and so forth and so on. We have stabilized the economy. Number two, we've been able to work on the agricultural transformation, and we have achieved a number of things under the agricultural transformation pillar. We have been able, for example, to register our farmers. We used to work on guesswork. We didn't know how many farmers we have, where they are, what they grow, the size of their farms, the kind of fertilizer they need. Now we have a register of 7.2 million farmers. We have also been able to increase our production of some of the major value chains in agriculture. Maize production has grown from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year to underwrite our food security. Unga prices have also been moderated from 250 shillings to right now around 140, 150 for 2 kilograms. We've also been able to transform the coffee sector by removing cartels and increasing our production of coffee, and also the income to coffee farmers has now grown from 60, 70 shillings a kilo of cherry to about 120 to 160 per kilogram of cherry. Our tea production has grown from $138 billion shillings, 138 billion shillings in 2022 to last year's 215 billion shillings. Our sugar production has grown from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to last year's 815,000 metric tons of sugar. And therefore, that is a big milestone in terms of that value chains, and we have now more farmers benefiting in that sector. We have revived the industries and the factories in the sugar sector and so forth and so on. So we are also now the largest producer of processed milk in Africa, because we have moved our milk production, processed milk, from 4.6 billion liters a year in 2022 to currently, by last year, 5.5 billion liters. Kenya now has overtaken 3 other countries, and we are the #1 producer of processed milk in the African continent. So we have done some progress. We are vaccinating our livestock to make sure we get herd immunity so that we can promote exports of livestock products. Right now we have vaccinated 8.9 million heads of cattle, and we're in the process of achieving the target of over 70% immunization. We are also promoting dairy farming, and by also managing the price of sexed semen, which we found at 8,000 per dose, and now it is at 1,400 per dose. More farmers are getting hybrids through sexed semen. So that is agriculture. Number 3, education, very quickly. This is a quick fire. In education, we've done a few things. One, we've been able to streamline CBC curriculum. The uncertainties which were there around the curriculum have now been stabilized. We have transitioned from one level to another, which is seamless. Number two, we have increased funding to education from 500 billion shillings 2022. This year, it's 784 billion shillings. And that is a big leap in this sector. Funding for universities has increased from 42 billion shillings in 2022 to 82 billion shillings last year. Scholarships to university students was increased from 17 billion shillings in 2022 to 41 billion shillings last year. We have employed 100,000 teachers. We have constructed 23,000 classrooms. We have improved on the funding model for our universities, and there is a bill before Parliament now to make sure that every young person, every student who qualifies to join university is funded fully and completely without any regard to the kind of background they come from. So those are some of the highlights we've done in the education sector. Work in progress. Universal health care, we have moved the number of Kenyans with public medical insurance cover from 8 million under NHIF to currently 32.2 million Kenyans. We are working to modernize the equipment, enhance drug supply, and make sure that our health professionals are motivated to make sure that we perfect the universal health coverage. Number 5, on public infrastructure, we are working on roads, railway, airports, seaports. On the roads sector, when President William Ruto took over, many roads are stalled and we didn't have money to unlock that funding. Through innovative resource mobilization, we've been able to pay all road contractors the pending bills. And today, the roads that are stalled across Kenya, which amount to 6,000 kilometers across the 47 counties, we've paid all the pending bills, 177 billion shillings, and the contractors now are back. Every county is experiencing road construction, including areas of our country that for a long time had been left out. You have heard about the famous Ruto Road from Isiolo to Modogashe to Kulamawe. You've heard about that road? Barabara itoke Isiolo, iende Kulamawe, iende Modogashe, iende Samata, itoke Samata, iende Wajia. Wajia Tarbaj. Tarbaj itoke hapo, iende Kotulo. Itoke Kotulo, Kobo. Kobo, Eloak. Eloak, Gare. Gare, Ramu. Itoke Ramu, iende Mandera. Rais Ruto ni fire, si fire. You must also be aware that under this administration, we are connecting the port of Lamu through Ijara to Garissa to Isiolo, areas of our country that for a long time had been left out. But we are also working on extending the SGR from Naivasha into Kisumu, Busia, Malaba. That project is ongoing as we speak today. We are building a new terminal, a new airport at Jomo Kenyatta, something we had not imagined we could do it. 155 billion shillings, again through innovative funding arrangements to make sure that we have modern infrastructure. Right now, we also have a port modernization program, which is about 60 billion. And that is taking place at the port of Mombasa, seaports, airports, railways, roads, because that is what will take us to the first world. The so-called shiny things. I had a not so informed critic saying that we don't want shiny things. The difference between the third world, where we are, and the first world, partly is the shiny things. They have better roads, better airports, better facilities across the board. So that's what we are doing around infrastructure. Energy, the president has mentioned, we have moved connectivity to 10.3 million households, up from 8.9 million households. The target is to reach all the houses of Kenya, the 15.6 million homesteads. And in the next 4 years, we'll have achieved that target of universal electricity connection. But we need our production capacity to go up. And that's why President Ruto has come up with the National Infrastructure Fund to be able to rejig the agricultural transformation agenda, to rejig our energy production capacity, and also to help us with irrigation and to help us with the infrastructure as we continue expanding on what already has been done. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly as I wind up, you have a few other highlights. We are trying to create as many jobs as possible to the people of Kenya. We have a number of programs. The Kazi Kwa Ground program through affordable housing, 650,000 Kenyans already working in that space, working towards 1 million Kenyans plus. We also have Kazi Mtandaoni, about 300,000 Kenyans who are earning a living through digital jobs. How have we created digital jobs? By increasing connectivity of the fiber optic cable. Right now we have built over 30,000 kilometers of the fiber optic cable terrestrially on our land to make sure that we have connectivity. And we are also doing ICT hubs, already completed 382 ICT hubs, and another 416 hubs are under construction to be completed in the course of the year. But we are also creating jobs through the Overseas Employment and Job Creation Program, Kazi Maju, 538,000 Kenyans, facilitated by government, which has put in place a transparent program of promoting overseas labor. And this has helped us to increase the remittances from our diaspora so that we can use that money to build our economy. So we are creating that. Just allow me to say maybe one last thing that I left out around public infrastructure. We've made a lot of progress. Since 1987, that is the last year that Kenya built a good international standard stadium. And that was Kasarani in 1987 during the All African Games. President Ruto has put up Talanta, the Raila Odinga Talanta Sports Center. It is there for all to see, 60,000 seater. And on that basis, we are hosting AFCON 2027, together with Uganda and Tanzania. President Ruto's administration has also refurbished Kasarani and Nyayo into international standards. And above all, and most important, President William Ruto's administration is currently building 32 other stadiums across the counties of Kenya. No other administration has been able to improve the sports infrastructure to that level. Your Excellency, the President, we have done some work. A lot of work needs to be done. You have laid the foundation. We now, as we have this conversation, we want to see what levers we have to take our country to the next level. And already, the coming into force of the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, those two instruments of financial and resource mobilization will take Kenya to the next level. I believe that, as Professor Hino told us, Kenya and Africa is able to venture into the league of wealthy, developed nations. We just need good leadership. We also need confidence in ourselves that what other nations can do, what other races can do, the African race can also generate countries that can move from poverty and move into progress. It is possible. And therefore, Mr. President, as I sit down, I want to challenge ourselves as Kenyans not to be dismissive and skeptical all the time, and to depoliticize the development of our country. We can politicize everything else. Let us not politicize the development of our country. Because if we do so, then we see some of the results that have created the kind of gaps that we have seen. So we need confidence in ourselves, the ability of our nation to rise. We need strong leadership, and we must insulate, as we have this conversation, this country from policy disruption. The biggest threat of African countries, the biggest threat of the developing countries is policy disruption, where some of the things that I've talked about have been put in place, but they are disrupted when there is a change of administration. Somebody comes with their ego as opposed to the national interest, and they want to change this, to change the other, to disrupt this, instead of perfecting the foundation on which our country has been raised. Thank you very much. God bless you. I submit.
Asante sana to the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki. As you can tell, many of those points he can even speak in his dream, even as we dream into beyond 2030. So let me talk to stakeholders, at least some representatives who have been in the journey of Vision 2030 and are going to be part of the journey moving past this into 2060, 2063 as Kenya.
Mwiroreri kune korea KICC kuria kuri na igongona riu ria kuruguria ndereti ya kibũrũri na ũcio warĩkia gũkorwo akĩarĩria bũrũri-inĩ mũnini wa President Professor Kithure Kindiki onake akĩonania kwiga